What I love about that from my work in all these years in consciousness and spirituality and personal growth is most people are familiar with the idea of their own energy field. And we talk a lot about the feeling of a place. You know, you walk into a certain house and it feels a little off or a little heavy. You walk into another house and it feels light and bright. And so how these fields are created by us as humans, by the land, is one thing. But what you're doing is creating an amplifier and sometimes a mitigator, particularly, I don't know if I'm going too quickly into it, but particularly around the work that you're doing with EMFs right now, and the fact that you can have the technology on your phone to help mitigate any negative side effects that may happen through the new technology that we have.
Yeah, there's many ways to enhance consciousness, and our mission is to create the optimal conditions for human evolution through the use of this consciousness technology. And so on the positive, we add to an environment, we add good lighting and good colors and beautiful art and nice furniture. We clean it. That's what designers are really all about, and actually feng shui, what feng shui is about. We have a lot of customers in Asia, and they describe it as energetic feng shui for the place. So it's accentuating the positive and then compensating for the challenging aspects. So depending on where your home is or the environment you work in, if you have an object on a subscription, then we have a program, for example, that compensates for EMFs, or actually mitigates the EMFs, and in fact, we believe turns any electromagnetic frequency into a positive influence. So we want to add to the positive and compensate for the negative. That's the two principles.
What I really like about that is, you know, I understand some of the fears around 5G, and you know, I totally understand the fears and the issues that people see with that. But it's interesting with my own channeling. I've never had an only doom and gloom idea about where we're going technologically, and that's very much what I've been encouraged to lean into whenever I've gone into fear or got too concerned about things. So it was really interesting to me when I spoke to you guys, and you had a shared view of what my guides will often talk about, especially regarding the internet and Wi-Fi, is how they have brought a certain telepathic consciousness to the planet that wasn't there before, and a speed of information that wasn't there before. So to me, that's the positive. If there's anything harmful in the technology itself, how we can mitigate or balance that is one thing. But what I found so fascinating talking to you guys was this idea that you can actually use it to optimize when you use the technology that you're using to combine it with 5G or EMF.
Yeah, what we're doing is harmonizing, and in some cases deflecting if there's too much energy in a space. But the harmonizing it's like a subtle change to the energy, so we're not interfering with the way it operates. And like you said, we are all benefiting from this connection, these connections that we're now carrying with us all the time, and connecting around the world to information at our fingertips. I mean, there's a lot of benefits, and it's not going away, as we talked about before the interview. So, you know, our focus is activating or creating this environment that's like a sanctuary, like a place where we can grow and be ourselves, be our fullest selves, and let's use what's here. And let's use what is now and what's coming. And so this harmonization is subtly using Shungite, and we can get into how we're activating these fields. So our system is very much like prayer or sending Reiki treatment. And the way it works is the system is focusing, kind of redirecting and focusing life force energy and concentrating it into a place. Just like if you sit down to pray for someone or a place, you're going to sit down, you're going to focus, move into a meditative state. Then as prayer or Reiki's treatment, you're identifying somebody. So you're holding them in mind. You may have a picture or something like that. So in our system, we have these unique identifiers that are in the system that are a legal address, or coordinates or a cell phone number or a photograph for an object. And so those then identify this place and this thing or place in the world, and that connection is instant. And a field is activated. And when you pray for someone, or you just hold them in your mind, there's a field activated now around that person. And then what you're holding as an intention for them is now in that field. And we can feel that someone's going to call us on the phone. They have an intention to call us. They're thinking of us. Wow, someone's going to call me, or I'm thinking of that person, the phone rings.
Absolutely.
It's the same thing. So you're thinking of that person, you're activating a field, you're thinking of calling them. That's in the field. We get it. We're finely tuned oneness instruments. And this system is the same. And so once we activate that field through that unique identifier, then we have what we call programs that are really instructions to divinity. You know, we're not sending frequencies, we're activating a field. And we're asking for it to be at 560 or higher on the Hawkins map as our normal for a property. The field is 560, and we use kinesiology, muscle testing. We can get into Clayton's cracking the code on Dr. Hawkins' work, but we measure, and we measure all the properties, and that environment's created, just like prayer.
So you mentioned Shungite. So what is Shungite for? I want to talk about the Hawkins map too, because you guys introduced me to that, and it's fascinating. But yeah, Shungite, what is Shungite?
Well, it's a black, lustrous material. It is found in two primary locations in the world. It was a meteorite that obviously came from outer space, or another part of outer space that we're not in. And it was landed in Russia primarily. And it has some unique properties to it. We were talking earlier about, I have some friends in Sedona, and they're also it's a friend of Virginia's, Katrine. They did an experiment where they put pieces of Shungite along a bank of smart meters. So they have all these smart meters, and they put plants in the small room, and then they actually, at first they just let the plants be in the room with the smart meters. And the plants started to move away from them. You know how plants have that intelligence? They move away from anything that detracts from life. They started to shrivel. So they went and they taped a piece of Shungite to each smart meter, and then the plants started to grow and actually move towards the smart meters. So when we were doing our research, we were looking to, how do we take EMFs and let's make it something positive? So one approach is to try to block it. And you don't want to do anything that would interfere with the original equipment manufacturer's operation of equipment. Like we all have cell phones and routers and things in here. So you want to make sure that that all works the way it's designed. You can try to deflect, and in some cases we do. Because if you live next to a big transformer station and you're turning this EMF energy into something positive, then it could be too high of an energy, right? So you want to keep it in a range that's optimal and just deflect the rest into up into the sky or into the earth, some way where it doesn't concentrate. You can dissipate it, like if you're watering your garden, you don't spray the hose on the flower, you kind of mist it. So there's all these ways you can do it. And then ultimately, I think the ultimate answer is to harmonize it. It's to take the benefit of all the electronics and the convenience that we have and then make it even better by having it be life supportive. So that was what we were looking for in our research, and that's a little more, it took us 1.5 years to get this figured out, and thousands of hours of research and looking into different materials. It's just one thing to talk about it in a few minutes, but it was a tremendous amount of research, and we were very excited when we found out what Shungite could do. And lots of people wear it on bracelets, they wear it in necklaces. There's little bits now you can buy and put it on your cell phones. And what we like about our service is that every device in the environment has Shungite going towards it, and it optimizes it so that it turns it into something positive, because it's hard to know sometimes how big of a piece of Shungite to put on there or what the quality of the Shungite is. And it also harmonizes all the electromagnetic influences coming onto the property. So all the cell phone signals, all the satellite signals, all the radio signals, all the things we're not even aware of, radar, anything like that.